Today on Business Under Fire, it's Ronny Tejeda's first podcast down here in Seguin/New Braunfels, Texas. And Ronnie's a sales trainer for a large automotive group that's kind of all over Texas called the Sames Auto Group. So we're glad to have you here.
I appreciate it, Tommy.
It's been fun.
It is.
Ronnie has been blown away because he's not an airport guy or an airplane guy, and the podcast is on an airport. What do you think while you're cruising in here?
I didn't know what to think in the beginning, but I was talking to my wife on the way over here, and I said, I think I'm at the right place. I said, it looks like there's planes in this building.
Yeah.
And I thought, I didn't know what to expect. And then I walked in and thought, this is Tommy Bonner for sure. You know, our perception has always been that this must be in some big building, and it is a big building, but we're in a room and we're 30 yards from a plane.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, this is wild.
Well, there's an airplane 25 feet that way. And then above this is a little apartment with a big old window that looks down into the airplane hangar.
Yeah, this is cool.
And Ronnie was just like, dude, this is wild. And I got this idea of the apartment upstairs. I was at a buddy's airplane hangar, just sitting on his couch when it's finished. And you're looking down over this airplane. He has a nice car over there. And it's just a view that so few people get to see.
Yeah, this is almost a dream, right? In some ways, right? I can't imagine. In fact, when I walked up to the apartment, I thought to myself, I found my new home. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it's just a cool spot. I mean, I didn't know all this. I knew you flew a plane. And for those that don't know this, I know Tommy Bonner personally. But I've never been to this location. I've never, I know, a couple things, but it was mind blowing to see what is really going on here.
Isn't it crazy? This podcast it's about business under fire and the trials and tribulations that people go through in business, the hard stuff that they've gone through, the easy times, seasons that they go through. And this hangar is my dream.
Wow.
And so when you look at, you and I have known each other for probably 25 years, right?
Yeah.
I used to walk into your car dealership while you're the GM with actual grass on my legs, saying, "Hey, Ronnie, I just want to mow your grass."
Yeah, you were a hard customer, by the way. I remember that. I sold you a Prius one time.
I cruised that for a long time. We'll have to edit that out.
I tell people, Tommy Bonner is a businessman. And I'm okay with that. But thank God you knew me and we made a deal. But man, let me tell you, I learned a lot from that deal. I said, Tommy, obviously I don't know if people even know you were in the car business at one time and a little before me. And then all of a sudden, here I am selling a car to you. And I know we have mutual friends and all that. But yeah, it's amazing.
The car business, I went in the car business at 18.
Wow.
Yeah, at 18 with the old man Rasul Razgoo.
Boy, I think he passed away.
He did, unfortunately. He was a
California or something.
But the car business, to actually start learning the ropes of business, it's like a throw you in the pool, learn to swim, kid. And that's the real way of it at 18, because you would meet these customers of all walks of life, white, black, everything in between, all ages, and you would have to start your sales process with these people, which you're a professional at the sales process, and I am as well, but you have to start finding common ground with these people with a meet and greet, and you have to start working the sales steps at the car business. But for me, that transferred over into the lawn business. As soon as we knock on Miss Jones' door, "Hey, Miss Jones, how are you? I love those shoes. They look great on you. That's a nice car." You've got to start finding common ground with these clients. And that works not only from the guy that's mowing your grass, that works from the guy that's now next door. We're building almost $1 million hangar.
That's right.
It's the same process
It's a people business.
Yes.
That's what I tell people. Now, one thing I preach, I think the car sales, I'm blessed, right? I've been around a long, long time, and I remember a time where the process was important. But today, I am just preaching that I don't want to sound salesy. I think in today's world, people don't want salesy.
Yeah.
People want people that are knowledgeable. I think that that's important. When I do, obviously I do training all over Texas, and I have for the last 8 years of my life. And I was just telling my wife, I don't even know how many salespeople I've really impacted.
Yeah.
I've gotten that far, but everything I do is simple. I do not like a complicated process. And so I want you to know that that's one of my preachers, that, hey, I'm preaching, let's not be salesy, because people, in today's time, people don't like it as much, right?
Well,
finding common ground is one thing, but there's sometimes people are too salesy.
And so we want to hit all the steps in this process without it seeming like we're hitting all these steps. And that is what separates the young, pushy guys from the actual true sales professional.
That's it.
And so it's a neat system. And I don't know what you want to run through today. We could go anywhere. I mean, you and I could give a master class on sales.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I was just, attend my wife. I bring my wife a lot because she's in the car business also. But, it's almost like a lost art. When I've worked for big companies, we're talking 16,000 members all over the nation. And I've traveled all over, from South Dakota to Minnesota there's some great F&I coaches, right? Or trainers, but there's I can only maybe name 2 or 3 real, true sales trainers that deal with salespeople. It's almost a lost art. And I'm so glad that I'm still here. And a lot of times I tell people all the time, the way I'm speaking to you is how I train people. Yeah. I am passionate. And what I mean by that is, I know I may have maybe 10 more years of my life in the sales, and I'm trying to give it all I got. In fact, one of my quotes to my wife is, I tell her, when I die, I'm going to die empty, because I'm going to give it all I got to help people today, because I know that I have the tools to help people. And I have, right? there's so many people I've helped. And so
that's why, while you were talking about that, I was going, what gives you the satisfaction and keeps that fire burning in you? Because you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. I started early in my career, and I started here in Selma. And so I was just blessed, sales came easy for me. I wish I could tell you that it was difficult.
But you are saying that you just said that you were working at a car dealership and you were blessed. And other people are saying, I'm at this car dealership and I hate it. I don't want to be here. Right off the bat, you have a different attitude about it.
I love car sales, and I love people more. That's the truth. Every day I go to work. I work for a great company, a great family. But the truth is, I love people. I just so happen to be in the car business, and because of it, and it became so easy for me. I was blessed. Now, the car business isn't perfect.
Right.
But the truth is, there is no business that is.
Right.
So I've learned to say, hey, man, I have to have balance, right? And when people have balance in their life and in sales, it works out. But not everybody's made for the car business. I pull up places, my old neighborhood, and I'll hear someone say, Ronnie, I wish I could have done what you did. Not everybody has what's called the X factor. Yeah. I think that if you do have it and you're blessed and you find a way, it's not just about making money, right? I think that comes with it. It's, am I really helping people? People need to buy a car. This is not I don't know very many people that are riding the bus today, right?
Yeah.
We live in a city that's big. So anyway, it's a need. And so if you love what you do, it helps.
And being a professional, again, in sales, you keep saying the car business, but it's not just the car business. It's all sales.
That's right.
And anytime somebody goes to the car dealership, they automatically have their guard up. And when you meet a Ronny Tejeda or a professional that comes in, that guard, that's one of our jobs as a sales guys. Let's get the guard down. There's no secrets here.
That's it.
I'm here to make sure that, we find a vehicle equipped the way you want in your budget, and take care of the paperwork or the process while you're here.
That's it.
There's nothing else.
Let me tell you the deal, right? We do have a bad rap, and I'll tell you why. Because back in the early 80s and 90s, the truth was, salespeople were taking advantage of customers. They weren't knowledgeable. In 2025, people are smarter today than they ever been, right? So, and at the end of the day, I mean, I do have customers that are still hesitant. I remember I had this one customer, and I am a professional, right? And I mean by that, with all due respect, is just I remember I had this one customer, and he was trying to be rude to me, Tommy. And I never forget. I told him, I just walked up to him and said, "Sir, do I know you?" And he said, "No, why?" I said, "Because I've never been treated like this by a complete stranger." And he knew at that moment that I was not playing. And I told him straight out, and I preach this even with my salespeople, "Mr. Customer, if it doesn't make sense, I don't expect you to do business." And I mean that full-heartedly. I want it to make sense. In fact, a friend of mine, I talked to him last night. I said, my preach when I salespeople is, I am no pressure. If it doesn't make sense, do not buy the car. If you do not like the car, don't buy it. If it doesn't fit your family, if it doesn't make sense, if you cannot afford this payment, I understand. First of all, I come from a poor neighborhood, so I understand that, right? I am very empathetic, but I am preaching that. Sales is, in today's time, people have a bad rap on us, and sometimes that's our reality, right? We're the only business that people walk into a store and say, "I'm going to negotiate," right? We've been doing that for the beginning of time. But I tell people, at the end of the day, if you treat people right, and some of my hardest customers are customers to me today. They still buy cars from me because I earned their trust. And at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. How do you teach a new salesperson, any industry, because this translates over to every industry? It's not just a car business. How do you teach them finding common ground, taking the barrier down between them?
What I do is, I'm, as a trainer, anytime I go into a room, I'm either talking to someone that's never sold cars, or I've talked to someone that's done 30 years plus, right? I would tell you this, what I'm preaching is I don't make it complicated for anybody, right? I think we live in a world that people do not like complicated process. I make it simple, right? But where I really benefit is I connect with people, right? That's I think anybody can get in front of a mic and speak about a process and this and that. But the true deal for me is I'm able to connect, whether you're 21 years old or you're 45 or 50. And in this generation is different. We lived in a time where sales was aggressive, right? If you didn't do your paperwork right, they would throw your paper in the showroom and you'd have to. In today's time, we have HR and you're not doing that anymore. And so it's a different type, right? You have a lot younger people coming in and they're different, right? You have to coach them differently, but the process never changes.
Yeah.
One thing I would tell you that changed, right, is when we were selling cars, we would say we control the customer. In today's time, we control the process. We're not trying to control a customer. And that is a different mentality that I have. And of course, it's years of doing this, and I'm trying to figure it out. You have to understand, I have traveled. Not only have I been a trainer all over the place, but I've lived in Brownsville, Texas, selling cars. I lived in Corpus Christi, Texas.
You lived in Brownswood?
Yeah, don't ever go there. But
I go through there on the way to Lubbock.
What's funny is that if you're not from Brownsville, and they knew I was from San Antonio, they reminded me very. Thank God I was tough enough to say, hey, it is what it is. But I lived it, in Corpus Christi. I lived in Laredo, Texas, right? So I've been able to see, and I will share this with you, and I don't mean to be long-winded, but
we got as long as we want.
I remember living in Brownsville, Texas, and there was a lot of times, and for those that don't know this, I am a religious person. I do believe in a man named Jesus, but I remember I was in Brownsville, Texas. I didn't know nobody, Tommy. And so it isn't like San Antonio, where I know everybody, right? I know this person, it was more welcoming. But when I was in Brownsville, Texas, there were many times I was in my room thinking, God, why are you bringing me here? Why am I here? I don't even know anybody. People don't even like me. They know I'm from San Antonio. Now, they couldn't deny that I had some skills on selling cars. But and then I moved to Laredo and then to Corpus. I'm like, God, why are you bringing me here? I don't understand. No one even, I remember driving to work and said, I don't even know one person here. Man. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
And so guess what? Today, I'm in McAllen, Texas, training people. I'm in Laredo, Texas, which is my main stores. And guess what? I know that group of people. So what I mean by that, God took me a lot of places so that I could be ready to train people because I don't train the same way I do in Bastrop, Texas, that I do in Laredo, Texas.
Yeah.
But God took me places so that I would understand that customer. Anyway, I just would share that.
Well, I mean, knowing your customer is important. So in Bastrop, you put on your cowboy hat and boots. And then Brownsville, you put on your Hispanic accent.
No, what I mean by that is there's still a process.
Yeah.
But, I see so many, I mean, I won't say his name, but there's a trainer up north and he always very loud.
Is it our buddy Andy Elliott?
Yeah, I won't say no names out of respect, but so anyway.
Well, I want to get your opinion on it.
I'll tell you my opinion because I am a true trader, man. But what I'm saying is I was in Laredo, Texas.
Yeah.
And I remember a man that looked very similar to that man that had his name. And I remember he was training at Laredo, Texas. And he was very hyped up. And I'm not saying he's not a bad trainer. I'm not saying that. But he was talking down. He was talking down to salespeople. He didn't know who was in the room.
He's a lot, though.
I know, but you know what? You know what they told him when he got off the Zoom?
Probably don't come
You know what they
back.
said? No, they said, if you're so good, why don't you come to Laredo, Texas? And you know what he said? Oh, I'm not going to Laredo, Texas. And I'll tell you why. Because you wouldn't talk to people that the Hispanic race.
Yeah. Can you imagine an older Mexican lady?
They'll come back with a group of people to take care. You couldn't talk to people like that. I mean, people would just be like, I'll be back in 20 minutes.
Can you imagine an older Mexican family in Laredo going to buy a Honda Accord and Andy Elliott no name. Yelling at him.
Think about that. First of all,
hey, do you have a six pack?
First of all, the guy has, anyway, it is what it is. But you know what? Forget all that. You're talking about the cartel over there. They're not taking it.
No.
I'm promising you. Those people would laugh at a guy like that.
We need to do a skit on it.
Oh,
Can you imagine this old Mexican lady that just finished rolling tortillas for breakfast?
And you're going to be loud and proud and talking to them and how they need to do this. He couldn't even, they wouldn't even understand him. First of all, in Laredo, 80% of people speak Spanish.
Yeah.
They would just be like, what's this guy with short shorts on talking to me for? I don't understand what's going on.
Mijo, you haven't had a good breakfast lately.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, I have nothing against Andy Elliott. I think he's got a lot going on. But
he does.
I just think that he capitalized up in New York or somewhere. Yeah. But in Texas, we're different.
Yeah.
We're different.
Texas is so culturally diverse. And it's gigantic. It's maybe 900 miles ish from South Padre to close to Amarillo, Groover, the Panhandle of Texas. And when you drive down, I make that drive often from the cotton fields of the Panhandle of Texas all the way down. I drive to Laredo the same day, and you can just see the cultural shift in the houses and this and that. And it is a diverse, but that drive when you go from Lubbock or the Panhandle down to Laredo is a cultural shock.
Yes.
But it's a beautiful thing, and it's been my life because I grew up in San Antonio, and so around the Hispanic community, you could see my restaurant Miguel's you can see. I mean, it has a sugar skull as the logo. How much I love the Mexican heritage and what I grew up around in San Antonio, and I was raised by a lady from Mexico.
I didn't know that.
And so if you haven't been to Texas and seen it or gone to the valley or it's a beautiful thing to see.
You know what's funny is I remember I traveled to, I guess it was South Dakota or Minnesota, and I'm in this room with like 90 salespeople, and all of a sudden they said, "Hey, where's that Texas trainer?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm right here." And he says, "We thought you were going to be wearing a hat and boots." And I said, "Yeah, I'm from San Antonio. We're not doing all that. I mean, I'm not saying anything bad. I do wear a hat sometimes." But it was funny how people thought we're different. In fact, people tell me all the time, "Oh, you are different from Texas." Yeah. Out of every state, we have a very unique way of doing business. And it's amazing, but people are funny. Texas is a beautiful state. It's a big state.
But people in other states, the Northeast, they're real short. They don't have a lot of tolerance. There's not small talk. Like we were up in Rhode Island a couple weeks ago, and everybody I talk to, "Hey, how you doing, man? Where are you from?" Blah, and they're like, They look at you like it's so it'd be wild to be an outsider in Texas. You're like, why are all these people being nice to me for no reason? And so maybe we do live in the best state in the nation.
You know, it's funny. They're like, hey, Ryan, you're just in Texas. I'm like, drive 9 hours and I'm still in Texas. Like we're in a big state whatsoever. You know, when I went to South Dakota, I mean, those people were rough. Yeah. I remember walking up and I thought, do I really need to speak here? Because these people were not as welcoming as I thought they were going to be. Thank God it turned out all right. But man, we're a very unique breed of people, for sure.
It's a great place. It's always the little 2 or 3% that give things a bad name, but that's whatever city you go into or state. But you come to Texas, you're probably going to meet a few good folks, for sure. Well, what's it look like when you were talking, and I'm going through a process right now at one of my restaurants. We have restaurant's been there 40 years, a great restaurant. A lot of the staff has been there for a long time. And so I just kind of let it do what it did because it was doing good enough, right? But I'm never happy. So I let it do good enough for a while. And then I thought, you know what? I am a professional trainer. Like my dream with my restaurants is to go in, work with bartenders, work with the wait staff, work and get this process going. So we've got a lot of old dogs that we need to teach new tricks to. And so how do you handle that process in your sales process with getting the they're not even older generation, but how do you get them to come up to work your processes?
That's going to be a very difficult. I would just tell you straight out. I mean, that is not easy. I would tell you this: if you're going to have any kind of business, and I've talked to everybody from AT&T to you name it. I'm on the phone with a lot of people, and they ask me a lot of advice. Right? I always tell them you need to hire very intense people, right? Very passionate people. The problem is that, you know, sometimes people just don't have it, right? I mean, it's just, I cannot teach urgency. I cannot teach ambition. I can teach you a process, but there's always that one thing like, do I have the right person? And that's hard, right? Hiring the right people is so important, right? Yeah. Like, no one knows. Sometimes people walk in a place, they don't even know who Tommy Bonner is. They just know that person. And I tell them all the time, you got to invest in the right people. You may have to pay a little more, but you have to. Now, old dogs, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they're great in some ways, and sometimes I feel like sometimes they ran their race. I know it sounds
well, brutal. That's my question, because this is what I'm actually going through at my business. So we're actually this is real stuff that we're doing. And I have met with my staff at Seafood and Spaghetti Works. They know this. They're aware of this. So if they listen to this, they're going through this right now. And a lot of them have come on board. We have a new greeting when you come to the table. You know, my name is, I actually told them you can't start with my name. It's welcome to Seafood and Spaghetti Works. And maybe more importantly, welcome to Seafood and Spaghetti Works. We're glad you're here.
That's right.
And I'd have to look at my spiel that I went over. But when we're at the point with our sales team that the people are not implementing the processes that the company is wanting or setting the standards for, what's the next move at that point?
You know, I know you knew Lane Tokunaga, and I'll never forget something. In fact, I still talk about it. You know, rest in peace, Lane. But I remember he would. I was trying to implement a process, and some people weren't buying into it. And he said, "Hey, Ryan, it's very simple. Change your people, or change your people." And I remember saying, don't worry about Lane. I'm about to change my people. But you know, sometimes we get in a rut, right? And the truth is sometimes you just got to make change, right? And I'm not saying, I know who's listening. I'm not trying to.
That's okay.
But this is real talk, right? At the end of the day.
These are things that businesses go through on a daily basis.
That's it.
And it's reality.
If people don't buy into the process, they got to go, right? Because I don't know any winning team. Yeah. I don't care what winning team. I don't care if it's football, baseball. They all have a game plan, and if people aren't on board, then they're not on the field. Yeah. It's nothing personal. If you're a head coach, then you run it your way, and at the end of the day, that is right. It's nothing personal. I love everybody, right? But at the end of the day, The Bible says I have to love everybody. I don't have to like everybody. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that I have to do what's best, because at the end of the day, you're not doing them justice either, right? By keeping them. If every time you look at them, you're like, man, you just don't have it, then it's not fair to them. They need to find whatever they need to do.
Well, the analogy that you put together with the sports team and stuff is exactly what I've been thinking of. And I have been very generous, very nice. I've spent my time training for hours with them, one-on-one, buying lunch, talking, whatever you need. Please let me know. And we are at the point, and that was the analogy I used with my dad. I go, Dad, this is a sports team of restaurants. We want to be the number one restaurant, not just in Port Aransas, but Texas. When you come to Seafood and Spaghetti Works, I want you to have a fast casual dining, but with a fine dining experience.
That's right.
And those people that walk in that door to that restaurant, they're the ones that give us our paychecks.
That's right.
We've got to take care of those people. And so we are at the point where it's like, all right, if you're not doing this, if you're not getting reviews, if you're not, I have people going in there watching them, taking notes on what they're saying right now.
Wow.
I'm dead.
Strong.
I told them I'm dead serious, and I have it going on in Lubbock as well. I have people watching all of them, and I told them, guys, I'm here. I showed up, and I'm like a crazy ex-girlfriend. I ain't going away until shit's fixed. And so, and they know. And
you have to have that deal. Tommy, you built a lot of things, right? And part of it is because people like Tommy Bonner. But the truth is always that you're in a business where you have people that are your face of your business.
Yeah.
And I tell people, invest in the right people, because if you do, it'll work out. You have to know that when I leave, I've got the right people I can trust that have the same vision. The hard part is finding those people.
Yeah.
And I'm working on this. I've been working for a couple of years. It's called Winning When You're Losing. And the point is sometimes I have to lose people because I'm trying to win somewhere.
Yeah.
And I've lost in my life, right? I thought I was losing, but I was actually winning, right? At the end of the day, you have to have that mentality, right? And it goes to a lot of different things, right? I mean, even when I went to my divorce, I thought I was losing, but guess what? I was winning.
Yes.
So, but going back to that is, I would tell you this is, you built a lot of things, and at the end of the day, your gut's going to tell you what you need to do. It's hard, right? Because we love people. And we know
people, emotions, feelings. But if you change it to, I am the head coach of this championship team, your gut tells you what needs to happen.
Yeah, because if you fail, guess what, Tommy? You fail.
Yeah.
No one remembers the guy at the front door. They remember Tommy Bonner had a great business and it didn't go well.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. Sometimes, I've been at AT&T many times. I've spoken to all their sales team, and sometimes one guy made a comment I'll never forget. He said, I don't own AT&T. I'm just a guy here. I said, that's the mentality that gets you nowhere. You got to find people who say, I know Tommy Bonner. I know his vision. Maybe I work for him. Maybe I don't make as much money as Tommy, but I'm in a good place and I believe in where I'm at. That's why I tell people, you know why I'm successful? First of all, for a couple of reasons. One is I love what I do.
Yeah.
I don't work a day in my life. I would drive 4 hours or 2.5 hours anywhere to speak to somebody because I love people and I want to give them everything I can. I have a passion like nobody else. And that's why people hire me. I've never had to look for a job. People have always looked for me. It's because I have that. And I tell people I'm doing what I want to do. And you got to find those people. The hard part is finding them.
Yeah.
No,
but it's funny because you're saying that sometimes I'm doing stuff and I feel like I'm losing. I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. And that's the season on the podcast that I kind of got into a couple weeks ago. I went and banged out 6 of them in Lubbock, and I just kind of got burned out. And but you know what gives me spark is like our conversation today is going well. I love that people can apply what you and I are talking about to their business, because a lot of people have this situation, whether it's one employee, 3 or 30 that are dragging them down and they don't know what to do. And so the point of this podcast a lot of times is if you, the guests, come in here or I say one thing that changes somebody's direction for the better, you and I have done our job for the day. And I get phone calls. Hey, Tommy, this is crazy. I was listening to this on the podcast and Ronnie said this or this guest said that, and I went and did it and it changed my shit.
what's funny is You got to hold people accountable. I mean, that is you know, I learned, a friend of mine, I was coaching high school football at Antonian High School. And I remember a head coach. I had just become the head JV and the freshman coach. And I guess I made a comment or something. And I remember the head coach, his name's Don Nelson. He's a good friend of mine still today. He said, "Hey, Ryan, the way it works is people have to respect you, then they love you. It's never the other way around. And sometimes we get too close."
Yeah.
The truth of it all is, hey, man, you have a business, right? At the end of the day, and people want to be accountable. They've already done books about it.
Yeah.
Tommy, they said that if people, when they asked people, when you worked at a country club, and I call that like where you could do whatever,
Yeah.
people said they didn't like it. They said they were more tuned to say, I want to be in a structured place more than anything because I want to be held accountable. And when we don't hold people accountable, then we're part of the problem. That's the reality of it all.
truth.
We allow it. And at the end of the day, we're not being fair to ourselves, our family, our vision, the people that are, at the end of the day, we have to hold people accountable.
Yeah, very good point. And, you know, being a manager, a general manager, an owner is not a walk in the park. But you didn't go to Sames and say, hey, I'm going to let all these people just kind of do what they want and see how it shakes out. You said, we're going to go in, we're going to train, we're going to hold them accountable, and we're going to get results.
That's it.
Because at the end of the day, these results based on revenue, sales, that is what builds the best teams. You can't have a big hole in your boat leaking money, this and that, and be building up a Super Bowl team.
No, you have to have processes in place. You have to, because people, at the end of the day, people don't know. They have to have a structure. What do I have to do? What is it? In fact, I'm working on a deal right now. It's going to be a leadership program for the whole Sames organization. It's going to be nothing but managers. I'm not even training salespeople. I'm just going to train managers.
Good.
How? Because people sometimes don't know how to get from sales to management. There was that bridge that no one even taught them how to do it, and we're doing that. We have to build processes. In fact, I hold a lot on my shoulders because I am the corporate trainer. There is only one for Sames, and everybody there depends on me to build process, and that's a lot of pressure. But I'm okay with it because I know the formula. I know how it works.
Yeah.
I've been traveling all over the nation, and I'll tell you right now, I may not train like I do in South Dakota, but I took a couple things. Let me tell you what I think makes me successful. Part of me as a trainer is that most people, give me an idea. Most people went to one high school. Mm-hmm. That's the truth. And you probably went to here in
I went to beautiful Alamo Heights as a kid on welfare.
And you played football. You
Soccer,
played sports.
yeah.
Okay, great. And you went to Alamo Heights the whole 4 years.
Yeah,
great. And you know what that means? That means that Tommy Bonner was coached by one guy that had one vision.
Yeah.
Imagine a guy like me. I've been in 40 different dealerships every month, and guess what? I know 40 different head coaches.
Yeah.
I know how they run a different offense. I know a spread from a tight end. And what happened is I got all that information and said, I'm coming back to Texas, and I'm going to tell them, this is what I got. This is how they're doing it. I didn't come from one high school. I came from 40 different high schools that ran different schemes. And guess what? I know the formula. Or at least I'm still perfecting it, but I know what works. And
can you see the similarities in the GMs at the top of the dealerships that are running the best dealerships?
They're all process driven. None of them, not one successful GM, and we have a lot of, all of ours are, but all of them have a process. The ones that are not doing well and somewhere else is people that just let people go and let people do what they want, and it never works. I'm telling you, it may work a little bit because you're in the right location and all that, but they'll never get to the full of where they could have been.
I do have numbers to back up exactly what you're saying within our own organization. And when I go into the restaurants and I start really pushing and setting expectations, that business does a 180 like that. It's wild what happens when you start paying attention.
Yes. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what it is, right? And if you have to have that. But people are still people. Do I expect everybody to be perfect? No. People have bad days. That's just the reality. But you have to have the people that are always on it 95% of the time. You got to. Those two people are hard to find. That's the truth. If they were that easy, boy, everybody have them, but they're hard to find.
I saw a good video of a lady the other day that said, no, when I hire you and you come to my business, I do want your best. I don't want you faking being happy for my customers. I do want you faking being personable. I want you doing what's best for my customers. I don't want your like they want. I wish I have it. It's such a good
What's funny?
quote.
That brings me something. I remember one time I was at a meeting and they were talking about customers. That customers are first. You know what I told them? Customers aren't first. They're just. I said they're not. They said this is what they said. They said customers are always right. I said no. Customers aren't always right, but they're always first, because sometimes customers don't know how the process works and they're ignorant about it. And I said, no, customers just come first. I'm going to do what I have to do. Go ahead.
For sure. So this lady says, I don't want your authentic self to come to work. I want your professional self to come to work. I want your respectful self to come to work. And I want your empathetic self to come to work. And I want your competent self to come to work. I don't want, do we want authentic, Ronnie? Yes. But I also need professional, respectful, this and that. Leave your other BS at home while you're at work.
You know what's funny is right now I'm on this deal where when I train, I mean, I do process and all that, but I'm like in the weeds now. I'm talking about voice inflection, how you stand, how you dress. I mean, but I get to it. And people are like, man, Ryan, I never thought of this. I'm like, yeah, when I start the process, it's from the beginning.
Yes.
And the way I come across, I don't like ignorant salespeople. I tell them all the time, I'm trained. I want you to be a salesman today. In 3 years, I want you to be a manager, but I need you to learn the foundation of today. But people don't ever talk about voice inflection. How do I sound? How do I sound? Do I sound, do I sound ignorant? Do I sound right? Do I sound professional? Do I stand in a manner that people would say, because you'd be surprised if you start a process like that, people will respect you through the whole process.
Yes.
I have this one guy, he loves to joke around. That's his whole deal. The problem you run into is that you can joke around, and then when it comes down to the numbers, the customer says, well, you were joking around 2 minutes ago and now you're a banker. People said, no, the transition was too hard. I tell people the way we come across from the beginning, it says it all. When I walk into a room, I don't walk in timid. I walk in like I know what's going on. When I talk to a customer, I do. Not arrogant, because I'm nobody at the end of the day, but I want them to know they can even sense that when they talk to me, that they know they got someone that knows what they're doing. That's what people want.
Yeah. I could tell by listening to you that you are a professional sales trainer. But you know your craft. And the only way I know that is because I study just what you're talking about. Body language, voice inflection, mannerism. Do you walk into a room and instantly, let's say we don't know anybody. Okay, I am walking to that person. How are you doing, sir? I'm Tommy Bonner. Pleasure to meet you.
That's right.
And if that same guy walks in the room and just stands in the corner and doesn't say anything, the whole mood is gone. And the way you talk and the way that you ask questions. And these are things that not just a salesman at a car dealership, but a salesperson at selling software, selling helicopters, pencils, all of it should be studying a book. And if you pick up one new habit, it was worth reading that book. Closing questions.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a lot. The handing over the contract and then shutting your mouth.
That's right.
Just
what's funny is a friend of mine says, hey, man, you got to be a good closer. I said, no, if you're a good opener, closing becomes easy. That's my mentality. I mean, sales is not really that hard. I would say this, I am not fake. This is who I am, right? I want it to make sense for people. I want them to have a good experience. At the end of the day, if it doesn't, I'm okay with them leaving. I really preach that. But I tell people all the time is that if you're going to have a process, make it easy. At the end of the day, when I talk to people, I tell you, mannerisms and voice inflection is so powerful that one time I'm at a dealership in Georgetown and they asked me to close a deal. And all I did, Tommy, was walk in the room. And you know what the lady said? She said, oh, you brought the big boss. I said, and I didn't even say a word. I said, no, ma'am, I'm just a man here. And I said, I'm going to make the process simple for you. And guess what? She closed on the deal. But what It's just how we carry ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, at the end of the day, I'm not saying I don't like cocky people, but I like confident, and people like it.
Yeah.
They wrote a book about it, but it said, when you deal with someone, you want someone that is knowledgeable. You don't want a guy that says, I don't know. I have this one time, and every time a customer asks him a question, you know what he says? I'm new. And you know what the customer said? Can I talk to someone that's old, because I want to talk to someone that knows what they're doing? I'm about to buy a $50,000 vehicle. Yeah. I want someone knowledgeable. But anyway, we talk. Yeah, I'm big on that. I'm, you know, as a trainer, I think a lot of people say, Ryan, what do you talk about? I talk about everything. You name it. The way I put my hands when I talk to people, the way I approach people. In fact, we talk about the meet and greet, right? Which, for those that don't know, that is like when our opening statement. When we talk to a customer, and I've changed it all completely. It isn't like I did in early 2000s. What I tell customers is, Miss Customer, one thing I like about Sames is that we work at your pace. We can go as slow or as fast. We can even stop whenever you want. How would you like to do business? You know what people said? People said, I appreciated that I was able to control the process.
Yeah.
And people like that. Most people say, hey, welcome to Sames. How can I help you? Which is totally cheesy, by the way. We have to come across, we want to make it easy, because when it's easy for customers, people buy into you. That's real. They're there for a car. I mean, it isn't like they don't know what they're doing there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm just here kicking tires. Now it goes to the greeting that we have at the restaurant too. I can't stand the, hey, I'm Tommy. I'll be taking care of you today. No, it's welcome to Seafood and Spaghetti Works. And maybe more importantly, welcome to Port Aransas. We're glad you guys are here. I'm Tommy. I'll be taking care of anything that you need at the restaurant. And if you have any questions on anything in Port Aransas, where to buy a cheap shark tooth necklace, fishing this, y'all are stuck with me for an hour. Let me know what y'all need. It's completely different.
You know what? There was a lady one time, and I travel a lot, so I see a lot of waitresses, and she says, I'm new. And she found out I was a trainer. And she said, can you give me one tool that I could use as a waitress? And I told her straight out, I've never been a waiter, but I'm going to give you my best shot. So I ate my food. And I said, I want you to do this. At the end, I said, I want you to do this. I said, when you get your receipt, I want you to turn the back of it. And I want you to tell your customer, hey, I'm new here. And I don't know what I did right or what I didn't do right. But if you could write down what I could have done better to be a better waitress, could you write that down? You don't have to leave me a tip. I'm okay with that. What I want to do is I want to be better. She said, if you could write down what I could have done better so that I can be better. And because I want to be the best waitress. Did you know that girl is making so much money?
I bet.
Because she addressed it.
Yeah.
And she wasn't trying to give me money. She really wanted to be a better waitress. But guess what? When people wrote down, well, you could have came and gave me water a little bit better, people still left the tip because they admired that someone said, I just want to be better. Mm-hmm. And that. I've never been a waiter, but that's how my mind thinks.
Yeah.
And can you imagine how powerful that would say? Hey, sir, you don't have to leave a tip. All I'm going to ask is that if there was something I could have done better, what would that have been? You know what people said? You were perfect.
Yes.
You did great.
Yes.
I appreciate you. And they left more money because they felt like somebody cared. Anyway, just something I want to share with you.
And people want to be heard. They want to be heard, especially with the Karens out there at the restaurants. Like,
I know.
This server asked me what we could have done. I would have left. I'd leave a bigger tip instantly.
Just because of that.
Yeah.
And she did it. So anyway, I hope she's doing well. But can you imagine this one thing different that people... At the end of the day, I have a different mentality, right? I guess when I turn, I'll be 54, but when I turn 50, I realize a couple of things. People are people, and I'm only going to be in this world a very short time. Mm-hmm. This is all temporary.
It gets shorter every day.
Yeah, right. And I just want to live right. I tell people, today's time, the Ronnie you're talking to is, yeah, I'm a trainer and I appreciate that, but I invest only in good people. I've been asked a lot of times to be on podcasts and I turn them down, but I only invest in my friendships. I'm passionate about my family, about my wife, about my church. At my age, you start to realize 20 years from today, I'll be 74.
I know.
That is scary. But I tell you, you know what? I'm going to give it all I can to help people. And that's who I am. And that's why people, I've been called for a lot of things, to talk at a lot of different places. And I tell them the truth. I'm not, I'm a man that just been through some life. And I figure out in my mind, this is how I think things should work. And it works. And I'm just blessed by that.
Yeah, It's weird to start thinking that at, I'm 45 and at 45, 50, you're like, this life is getting shorter and shorter. And the fact of it is it's getting shorter by the minute. It's a crazy
Tommy,
thought.
there's people we know right now that aren't even on the earth anymore.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Now, my dad told me last night, he goes, I wanna. I said, well, Dad,
Let's do it.
You don't have a lot of time left, bro. Let's start doing it. And he's like, all right. I mean, the best time to start is now.
Tommy, there's no guarantee. I mean, the older I get, I'm like, man, I'm working on this thing. I'm working on a lot of things that my wife knows, but there's a thing called the brevity of time and how time is collapsing and how there is no guarantee. And I better start doing what I need to do, right?
Yeah.
Life is short. I mean, I remember as a young guy, people would tell me life is short. I'm like, no,
I know.
I got time. I'm like, no, I'll be 54, 10 years from today. I'll be senior citizen. Well, we got a problem here. I am trying to live life. Did you know I do a lot of things? I spend a lot of time on my ranch, right? I got a tractor. I love being on a tractor, but
Yeah.
I'm on my horse probably once a week. I'm riding to my land, the same land my grandfather did. I tell people I just want to invest in good times because I don't know when my time is up.
Yeah.
I mean, that is our reality. I mean, I thought I was gonna be young forever, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I got gray hair. I saw it in the. I'm like,
know.
golly.
And getting out of bed takes a little bit longer. You ever tying your shoe or you go down your tire shoe, you're like, damn, I'm getting older.
Yes, I'm not coordinated. I'm like, wait a minute. Thank God I can still box a little bit. But even then, I'm like, man, I'm getting older. Like, I can feel it, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I see young guys. I'm like, man, I wish I was 21 again.
I know.
But it is what it is. I mean, we're here. This is my time. I'm working on another deal, which is when you look at our lifetime, there's so many people we don't know, right? I was just driving over here. There was so many people that passed me, and I thought, I don't even know that guy. I don't know that guy, but I know a guy named Tommy Bonner. This is what guy wanted me, the people I wanted to interact with. I'm gonna appreciate it. And it's just when you start to think like that, like, man, God, this is my time. We won't. I promise you, 30 years, 40 years, we won't be here, Tommy.
I know.
Maybe there'll be another Tommy Bonner. I don't know, but the point is that enjoy life.
Yeah. When you go on the tractor, is that your therapist?
Man, let me tell you.
Is it in closed cab, open cab?
Open cab. But you know what? I play music, but I do my best thinking. When I know I'm going to do a big event, I speak at a lot of places. I spend a lot of time soul searching. See, people don't understand. As a motivational speaker or a trainer, it's easy to sit down and listen to someone, but you got to come up with your own content.
Yeah.
You got to come up with an idea.
How does that process work for you?
You know what? First off,
starts on the tractor?
yes, and you know what? I fast a lot. I know it sounds crazy. I fast a whole lot, and I really reach out and say, God, what do I need to say? In fact, I was just on a call probably about 2 weeks ago, and we're talking, what is the hardest part of your job? And people say, is it the process? I said, no. Is it the people? I said, no. The hardest part of my job is when I drive off, and I do right. I say, God, did I tell them what I needed to tell them? Did they get it what I told them? Did they get what I need to tell them? Because that's important to me. I was only there 2 hours, but did they get what they needed? Because I know that they're going to have to be in this world of sales, and I want to give it all I got. That is my hardest part, that I do it right. But thinking about what I talk about, it's not easy. I have come up with a lot of ideas. I mean, that's why I've got so many, right? I'm always like working on something. I'm working on this one, right, which is religious. It's called Trusting God when He says no. I don't need God to tell me how to act when He says yes. Tell me how to act when He says no. That's one I'm really working on. I'm working on.
What does that look like to you when God says no?
You know what? At one time, I wasn't okay with it. For a long time. And I didn't know, look, for 25 years, I've been living a godly life. This is not something new, right? But I remember there was a time I didn't even know Jesus. I just knew who He was. But now that I've gotten older, did you know, I tell people all the time, for a new convert, when things don't work out for you, it's a problem. For an old convert, it's God. Now I get to tell you who I really am. I'm still going to be in church. I'm in the front row of my church. I literally have my own row in the front church. And I tell God, it doesn't matter whether you say yes or no, I'm going to be obedient. And it's been one of the things and I went through a really hard time, and I don't know if I should go over it, but I remember there was a time I got truly tested. And I said, God, and it was a time that most people, 99.9% of people would have been angry with God. And did you know, every day I find peace. And I said, God, thank you for giving me this, because I'm going to show you who I really am. Because if everything is given to us and we act right, then we're really not who we are because it worked out. It's when things don't work out that we're like, wait a minute, this is my opportunity. I tell God, guess what? I know you told me no. And it was a time I really needed him to say yes. I really did. It had something to do with my son and something really horrible happening to him. And I said, God, if this is what it is, I'm going to take it. I'm okay with it. I may not be happy, but but I'm going to find peace. People say, Ronnie, I talk to you. You're the most lively person on the planet. Yeah. If you knew my life, you would understand that because I know a man named Jesus, that I find peace. People say, Ronnie, I make more money than you. Yeah, but you don't have peace and joy like I do.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of it all. But anyway, that's how I deal with things.
What's a small example for you when God says no? Is it traffic? Could it be in traffic?
No.
Could it be?
No. Me and my wife, we have this thing that if I get caught in traffic, we always say, well, God just didn't want he wanted to slow you down. Yeah. We have that kind of mentality, right? But no, when I talk about God says no, is I was on a big custody battle for my son, and I was in the right. And I almost went broke. I mean, that is the God honest truth. I went broke trying to save my son. And all of a sudden it didn't work out for me. And I had to know that my son was going back to a house that I didn't want him to be. There was someone in there that wasn't right. And I remember I was preaching at a church, and that morning I found out I didn't win. I mean, they literally called me. And I remember I called my wife. I said, man, I know we're going to lose. I already knew too many people at the courthouse. And I said, we're not going to win. And so when I got on that stage, I almost didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I remember I got on that stage, and I remember saying, I was talking to these guys. These guys were like alcoholics that could not go home. They were sentenced to this place for 2 years. These guys had tattoos on their face, and they were rough. They were a rough crowd. And here I am at this church going to preach, right? And I'm not a preacher. I'm a man of God, but I'm not a preacher.
Yeah.
And I remember I said, guys, I want you to know today was a hard day for me. And I knew that the devil had attacked me personally. And I wouldn't just say that. I don't just throw those words, right? And I remember I said, I will tell you this. If the devil thought I was a problem before, I'm going to fast longer. I'm going to preach harder than I ever did. And I remember saying, God, I'm going to be pleasing. I know I didn't win. And for whatever reason, right, I'm okay with it. I may be upset and hurt. I was really torn. I said, but I give it all I got. I said, because I know who I believe in, right? At the end of the day. And that's when I was tested. That was one of the few times that God told me no. And I thought for sure, God, I had all the proof. I had everything I needed. I went broke, and God still said, right, this ain't the way it's going to be. So anyway.
The court system is not a fun system to be in. No. On whatever you're in a lawsuit, custody, divorce, none of it. It sucks. And I don't, guy says Lady Justice is blind, right? She has a scale on both sides of her. I just don't feel like it is. And I got in a deal on a thing, and I knew I didn't do wrong. I knew I didn't. And shame on me, because I was like, this is so easy. I don't even need to hire a great lawyer. And now I've ended up hiring 3 lawyers. And it just, man, you just don't want to be in the court system. It sucks. And it'll test, obviously, every bit of patience and emotion that you have. So avoid it.
What's funny is that I know God told me no, but guess what? I remember a time where God said yes. I remember. Tommy, let me tell you, man, this has happened in 1995. That's how long ago. And I don't know if you know my story, but I'll share it with you. I was actually good friends with somebody that you do know, and out of respect, I'll leave him out.
Yeah.
But I remember in 1995, I've always been a loyal person, Tommy. I am a loyal person. My wife tells me all the time, Ryan, you're the most loyal person I've ever met.
Yeah.
Most people aren't as loyal, but I am, right? I'm wired that way. That's how I was made. But anyway, in 1995, I had a chance to speak out against somebody. And they would have spent the next 10 years of their life in prison. And I'll tell you right now, I was a young guy, man. I was 21 years old and just strong. I knew I hadn't done nothing wrong. Here I am. I'm getting charged for something I didn't even do. Can you imagine that? And guess what? I'll never forget. I'm in court. I stood toe to toe with the judge. And you know what he told me? He said, I need to talk to you. Let's go talk in the back. No attorney, no sheriff. This guy had when I think about it now, he took me to the back and he said, Ronny, you're one of two people I've ever met in the world in the court system. He said, and they're not going to let you go because you're not saying what they need you to say, and they know you're not involved. And I said, I'm innocent. He goes, I know. He said, but these people aren't going to let you go. So anyway, make a long story short, he gave me the map to save my life. Mm-hmm. This is so unethical. No judge or anybody should even do that. But thank God, God inspired him to say, we need to save this guy. Guess what? Today, that guy is saved. He's a big name. He's a big time attorney here in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad I saved him. But you know what? God saved me. And I know it sounds crazy, but I really believe God told me yes that day. He said, Ronny, you're on a road. I'm going to help you. You know, I don't know if you read the Bible much, but I talk about Paul all the time, and he's on this road to Damascus, and God came and blinded him and said, hey, and Paul was a guy who was hurting people. And I wasn't probably the best person in 1995, but I remember God saying, I need to get a hold of you because you're going to do big things. And I remember walking out saying, God, thank you. And so I did win. God told me a lot of yeses. I went this. I got a healthy family. But there was times that God said no. Anyway.
You have to be thankful. And that's the thing. Sometimes when you think the whole world is against you and life is rough and this isn't working, all I have to do is look at my kids and I go, damn, they're healthy. They could be in a wheelchair. They could have cancer. They could have, and it's like, dude, there's so much to be thankful for. And you forget about that on like these battles that we were talking about at work. We're going through this tornado. It's a mess. Look at somebody's 10-year-old that has cancer. Right. One of my good buddies, James, that's going through it. And it's just like, dude, we haven't made.
Yeah. I was just in Corpus Christi the other day, and we were at a hospital, Driscoll Hospital, which is like a renowned and a very great place for a children's hospital. And so we did a tour, and they actually showed me the room where they do heart procedures there. There's a room that they designate that when they cannot help your child and they have an hour to spend, they put them in this room. And I thought to myself, I got nothing to complain about. Yeah, I got nothing to complain. But people don't think like that until you go to a place like that and it slows you down. You start, wait a minute. My life isn't as bad as, you think about Tommy, we could have gone a lot of different ways in life. Thank God we're here.
I know. I like to look at like when you're talking about you as a 21-year-old kid and just the amount of knowledge that we don't know at that age and just how stupid we were and why do you think that you were on a path at 21 that just wasn't right? Were your parents around?
No, I had a lot of things working against me. I came from a single parent family, right? I didn't have a father. My father, I met him 3 times in my whole entire life. 2 is, I was from a poor neighborhood, right? All we did was barbecue and fight, right? Which I did quite a bit.
That sounds fun.
It was. But I when you're young, you're looking for acceptance. At that time I made friends with that friend of mine, and I thought he was just a lot. And I was blown away by his lifestyle, and I think that's why I got tied up to him. Yeah, and then I did not know that one day he's going to be a big time attorney here in San Antonio. I didn't know that, but I think we just made bad decisions because of our environment. But let me tell you, I'm not the same person I was in 1995. I don't even speak the same.
I know.
People told me that day. I met a friend of mine from old neighborhood. He says, "Hey, Ryan, is this really you on the phone?" And I said, well, why is that? He says, because this doesn't even sound like you. Yeah. And I said, oh, that's because life is taking me a different route. And I'm a professional trainer now. I don't speak like certain people. But that's what happens. I think we just get tied up. But the problem is, man, you could be.
But you can change.
Yeah, but people don't. People understand we're all one step away from making a bad decision. Yeah. And I did make some bad decisions, but I made some good decisions. But people understand is that when we're young, we just don't think about it. We don't even think about life or time like we do now. I mean, we don't. We're lucky we made it to 50. I'm lucky I made it to 53.
Well, I am too. I was crazy when I was a kid until about 21. It was wild. Same thing. If I would have met you on the other side of town, a white guy has a barbecue, we would have been throwing fists.
You know, that's one thing I tell people.
But we could have shaken hands. That's the difference between people like me and you. We could have fought.
It would have been over.
Shake hands and say, hey, I'll see you later. And actually, I did that with my buddy Lino Cano.
What?
Yeah, we got in a fight and we've been best friends ever since.
You know, isn't that crazy?
Yes.
You know, I tell people, you know, one thing I didn't do, thank God, I've done a lot of mistakes. One thing, I never did drugs. I never, did you know, Tommy, I've never drank in my entire life.
You haven't?
Never. But you know what? I whipped a lot of people. That is the truth, and I regret. I mean, I tell God all the time, God, I wasn't a good person. I fought all the time. I think I was just angry. That is the truth. I really think I was just angry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I loved it. And then I learned how to box when I was younger, and then that was a bad combination. I know how to fight, and I like to fight. And my mom thought it was going to help me, and then she realized this is not helping. This is hurting the process.
Yeah, at that point, I used to box when I was 16, 17. And so any big guy that wanted to fight, well, I'm training to fight every day. It doesn't matter. You're going to whip their ass quickly, too. And so I don't think that helped us. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. You know, what's funny is I'm good friends with a good friend of mine, and he owns a gym here in San Antonio. So I'll speak at his, I'm helping the boxing.
Kids.
And I tell people, you know, boxing is such a great sport because there's no team. And guess what? People don't understand. When you're in there, it's just you and them. There is no team. You're going to take it too. You're going to have to like it. You know what I mean? But I love boxing. My wife, she probably knows more about boxing than most people because we YouTube everybody, right? I'm into it. But, you know, boxing's a great sport though. Not everybody can do it.
No.
Everybody does this and then they get hit and they're like, wait a minute.
Or even trying to stand in there for 3 minutes. You can't even breathe. Good luck.
You know my friend Cisco, right? He went to my fight in the Coliseum. I was 41 years old. That's where I came up with winning when you're losing.
Yeah.
So I'm fighting this 26-year-old kid. I mean, and I'm 41.
God.
And I remember we
Who won?
Well, he won, but we won all the rounds. But I would tell you this: every fighter knows whether they're winning or losing. And I knew I was losing towards the end. I got tired.
Yeah.
And I remember saying, this is where winning when you losing came in existence. I said, God, I want to know who I am when things don't go. I want to know if I'm getting beat up, who am I? Am I going to run or am I going to walk it? And I still move forward. I still said, no, I don't care. I know who I am today. I know I'm losing, but you ain't getting the best of me. Cisco was there. He'll remember anyway. Dang. It was a good time.
So you stood the whole round.
Yeah. And we know, and I took some hits. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, my wife won't let me box anymore. I want to box one more time. But anyway, but it was called winning when losing. I knew who I was when I was losing. I didn't bow down.
Yeah.
I still have the video. I'm still going forward. And I was taking hits.
I think that's a good point and an analogy on everything in life. It's like there's so many times, and right now my season is kind of the podcast. I said I'd do 52 of them, right? And I want to do it because I believe there's something between 30 something wherever I was at and my 52. I believe there's something that's going to happen. And even the reason I do this is because of like days like today. I've enjoyed this with you and hearing like the stories and stuff. And this is what gives me inspiration. I don't know why I had drowned out on a couple of them, or I thought maybe I was looking for money coming in or something and losing track of why I originally started it. And the reason I did it is because, like I said earlier, if one thing we say in here changes somebody, then I done my job.
That's right.
And that might take 52 hours of me being in here, but already on this path, I've heard people adjusting and shifting. And so that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
And, but winning while you're losing and
anything, divorce.
Yes.
I still want losing a job. There's times I lost a job. I got a better job. I'm like, man, this worked out, but people don't see it
your
that way.
car breaking down. You're just,
man, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I thought to myself, wow, I thought I was losing.
Yes.
And I mean, that's the truth. It could be on anything. I mean, it could be anything. And
keep marching.
Man, people
keep going.
Sometimes God would take you out of a place to put you somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's the truth. I mean, there was times, like I told you in Brownsville, What am I doing here? God said, don't worry, because in about 8 years, you can be trained in this city, and I need you to know these people. That's why I'm bringing you here.
Yeah.
It was a lonely time in Brownsville, I would say that.
How is it that? I've only been there. I flew to the airport the other day and stayed for
People are
about
just
2
different.
hours.
They're not like Laredo. I'm not saying anything bad. I like Brownsville, but if you're not from Brownsville, you're from San Antonio.
I
And
feel
they knew
like
it.
what's funny is, as a white dude, I feel like the only city in San Antonio that doesn't like white dudes is Seguin.
Really?
Yes, and I've been down in Laredo, down in Catula. I worked there for 3 years, from 14 to 17 as a kid.
Really?
I
That's wild.
always feel welcome in the Mexican, Hispanic culture, but Seguin, they look at you like, what are you doing?
Really?
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't spend enough time. I mean, I had a dealership here that I was training at, but other than that, I don't really know anybody in Seguin. I mean, you know, I heard it was a rough place at one time. I don't know, but
I think it's getting better. I think the leadership's doing a good job. It's growing because it's one of the only, I mean, you can't afford to move into New Braunfels right now. So naturally, people started coming to Seguin.
It's moving up.
But it's moving up slow. But they're working on it.
They got that barbecue place here. I can't think of the name, but
Yeah.
they say it's good. I don't know, but that's what they say.
Well, it's the number one in Texas.
That's great.
And it's Ernest Cervantes and David Kirkland. And Ernest came on the podcast, and they're two of my really good buddies.
Really?
And they are, dude, it's
A big guy, right? He's kind of a big guy. Yeah.
from Uvalde. But it's not even that it is the best barbecue joint in Texas. And those guys, when we talk about what it takes to be number one and stay number one,
Yeah.
he is a maniac. And when he won number one, he came on here a few weeks later. And his goal, he didn't go on cruise control. He's focusing on getting better
Wow.
and better and better.
you
He's
imagine?
working on his systems. He's like, I'm getting number one again. And
God.
if they are going to catch me, they're going to have to work harder and harder and harder. But Ernest Cervantes is he is the person to look at if you want to know what it takes to be number one. That guy will not quit.
Wow.
He will not give up. He's got fight, grit.
You name it.
Dude, he's a maniac. But that's what it takes. And so I always say that burnt bean sets the bar for barbecue. And once you eat there, you'll be ruined for barbecue.
I tell you one thing, you've inspired me today, because I always tell my wife, I want to be the number one trainer in the planet. Like, that is really my goal. There's times I have dreams where I'm in a auditorium, Billy Graham style. I mean, I'm really trying to help as many people, but I really want to help people because I love people, and I really want to be the number one trainer. I'm not there yet.
That's what it takes.
I'm not there yet. I got a couple guys that I know, a friend of mine, David Kelly is a good friend of mine, but he you know, I am trying to get there, and I am every day. I do not want to be the average trainer. I'm doing things that very few people are doing, and I want to do it the best I can. You know,
Even speaking that into existence, because other people would sit right where you're at and they wouldn't even say that because they're scared of what other people would think.
Oh, no.
And when you say, I want to be number one, and you work towards it and you train, there's only one way to do it. And Michael Jordan didn't sit on there eating donuts saying he's going to be number one. He did it.
I mean it. My wife tell you all the time, I'm ready. People call me all the time, can you speak here? I'm there. Sometimes I do it for free. And people say, why you do it? Because I want them to know that I am for real. I tell people I'm not title driven. I am purpose driven. My purpose is to help people. My purpose, I know something. I'm going to give everything I can. If someone call me, I'll be like, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. I want to get to it. Now I get into it. Every time I speak, I'm like, I start getting on the tractor. I'm like, what I need to talk about? What's important? You know what? I'm coming here. I'm going to do this. I mean, the only time I get nervous is when I speak in my church. I tell God, God's work is a whole different deal. In fact, I've got...
he knows all my secrets.
Yeah, he knows every hair on my head. I got to be careful, right? I get it. But he knows every sales tactic. I promise you that.
Yeah.
But you know what? When I love people. There's times people have called me. When I went to AT&T, I didn't charge nobody. I'm on their floor where they have the biggest floor here in San Antonio, and I'm talking to people I've never met. I've never even sold phones. But I told them the truth of what it takes, and people said, "Man, thank you for coming." Why? Because I do things because I want to be the best trainer, and sometimes I've got to do that. Right?
Well, you got to work that muscle too.
That's right.
You can't just say I want to be the best trainer and not work that muscle consistently. I mean, what comes out of your mouth, it takes practice, effort. And so, I mean, you're doing good at it. I love it. You have a passion about you. For sure. You can see it, you can hear it, and people need to see it when you walk out there.
You know,
So
my old company, we had 16,000 members, and they said that when they looked at my name, you know what they said? That's the most passionate trainer we've ever seen. I love people. I want to help as many people as I can. That's who I am. I'm not. That's how I'm wired.
Yeah.
I wish I could help. Man, if it was up to me, I'd be at every dealership talking to people.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. But if I could, I would. I would
Yeah.
help as many in any business. I could probably help them in any business.
well, take the probably out.
Yeah.
You can, and you can. I could tell from the just your knowledge and the process. And so, where can people find you at?
I'm on Facebook, quite a bit. Ronny, Ronny Tejeda, Tejeda, and they can reach out to me there. I've got my cell phone. If people want to call me, they can. I help a lot of people. I motivate a lot of people. People always say, "I wish I could have you in a bottle because I come with a lot of energy. I'm ready to go." People say, I walk in a room, people are like, "Man, I'm just guy Ronny's here," and it's because I have that. You know what the truth is, and I want to give a shout out to my wife. There was a time, Tommy, years ago, I didn't even know I had a gift to speak. And I saw that. One day I'm speaking in front of my wife. She got teary-eyed. Of course, she loves me. But the point is, she told me at the end, she says, "Did you know you have a gift?" And I'll be honest, I said, "No, I don't. I mean, I'm just a guy that hustles." And she says, "You have a gift to speak." And so after that, I start to concentrate. I'm like, wait a minute. And then I start getting invited to events and bigger events. Public speaking is easy for me. Most people shy away from it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't want to give me the mic. I'm ready to go. I'm like, I'm not playing, right? And I just tell people, when I get up there, I say, "God, tell me what I'm supposed to say today." And I just jump into it. I get nervous in the beginning. My wife always asks me. But then I get like a fish in water, and I just get smooth. In fact, we have this deal when I speak, even if my wife's there, I won't even tell her what I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to, and I said, "Jen, I want you to know when I get up there, I want you to be able to tell people, I don't know what he's going to say, but I'm here." And I said, "Jen, I do that because I want you to get just as an impact as everybody else." And sometimes, of course, when I start speaking, my wife cries a lot. I have to get away from her on the I'm like, "Hey," but you know what? I just get to it. God gave me a gift to speak, and I use it every day for it.
Well, we're glad that you do. When you're on the tractor, so I'm trying to get to the point of how you come up with what you're going to speak of. You just have thoughts. You put notes anywhere.
I will.
Any notes?
I will get my phone. I'm like, "Hey, I need to talk about this," and the collapse of time, and I talk about that. Then I'm like, winning, we losing, and trusting God when He says no, and so I have all this stuff so that wherever I'm at any moment, the Bible says to be ready in season, out of season. So I'm always ready. If someone called me and say, "Hey, Ryan, can you speak here?" I will already say, "Man, I'm already working on this. I'm so glad." Now, I don't have it all panned out, but when I spoke at that church, I spoke for 45, almost an hour maybe. I wrote 3 things down on a piece of paper.
Wow.
My wife said, "I don't know." My wife didn't know what I was going to talk about. And I just jumped in. And I just started speaking about all kinds of things. And my wife, I almost lose myself. It's so bad that they recorded it. So I went home and I saw it. And you know what I thought? Who's that guy? I don't even know who that guy is. And I told my wife, I saw it probably like 6 times. And I said, "Oh my God, I was getting impacted by a guy named Ronny Tejeda. I was getting impacted." I was like, "Whoa!" And I would say it. My wife would be like, "What's wrong?" I said, "I just got something." And I my mind works differently. I'm gonna tell you right now, and I don't mean to. I'm passionate. So my wife, sometimes I share everything with my wife. I'm just that man, right? And I remember I was on YouTube and I was watching USA, the track team run. And then you know how you see one YouTube and all of a sudden you see another one, and then so then I started getting the history of these people. They were normal people. They were the Tommy Bonners of the world. They found them in these little towns, and they got all these people to run. And USA is ranked number 1 when it comes to track. So all of a sudden, my wife says, "What did you get from that?" I said, "I'll tell you what I got." I said, "What I get from it is that somebody found this person, kind of like they found us." And one thing that I loved about those track runners is they said something that was very unique. They said, what goes to your mind when you're giving your baton to the next person? You know what they said? They said, did I give the next person the best shot to win? They didn't think. There was time. They had some conflict. Some people say, I should be number one. Why am I running number 3? But when they put the USA uniform on, they said, I did what I said. And they said, I trained. I said, all I care about when I get the baton, whether I'm number 1 or number 3, did I give the next person the best shot to make it? I said, that's how I tell people I'm giving someone else the baton to make it in life. That's all I'm caring. Anyway, I don't mean to.
No,
that's how,
great.
but my mind thinks like that. And that's where I come up with ideas. I'm like, Jen, this is an idea I need to talk about. And she ended up doing it at her work. But that's how I think, man. I mean, I think I would see something and I would take something totally different out of what people think.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's a great. What I could keep going on this forever.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to talk all day. I mean, I dedicate this time. I'm thankful.
All day to us.
Everybody, they don't want to hear us that long, but
They might. We'll find out.
Well, I know.
I never, I never care if people are going to listen for 5 minutes or 5 hours. I don't even think about, I don't think about the audience on here. I try to give information that I find is valuable. Try to get information from you that is valuable. I'm a talker, right? I talk most of the time.
Me too.
And so for me to give a podcast and have to get information out of you guys, I had to completely turn around and ask the questions and be able to listen instead of talk. And so that's a point on what we're doing here is if you train to do what you want to do, you could do, because yesterday I had a guest on here. Good guess, but short answers. I had to ask questions.
Wow. I talk too much. I'm too deep. I am a deep person. I think things. I obviously I'm a speaker, right? But I am very deep. I mean,
but you want people to know what you're thinking. They want you describe it from start to finish in detail to tell them where you're coming from and why I thought this.
That's why I do well in training, because I connect with people.
Yeah.
I can say a story and they're like, I get it.
Yeah.
I understand. I'm not just I tell them all the time, I hardly ever open my computer, but I'm not in some computer. I'm a guy that lived it.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm telling you, I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about the 90% of things that are going to happen. I'm going to help you, and I'm going to let you. People have left. I tell people all the time, I say, guys, I promise you, I know you don't, sometimes if it's a new training, most people don't like trainers because they're boring. I'm not, thank God. But I said, I promise you will be different than the way you came in.
Yeah.
I said, I tell you, I'm going to give you the map. I'm gonna give you 20-something years of what I've done, and I'm gonna teach you in 6 months. I promise you. I'm gonna tell you. It's like a video game. I always talk about this scenario. My son, who's only 10, he loves to play games.
Of course.
And guess what? When we play, he wins. You know why? Because he dedicates 4 hours of his life every day. I tell people, you know why you should listen to me? Because I've dedicated 20-something years of my life to a game. I know how this game is played. Yeah. I know where to hide, what door to open. I'm going to teach you all the things. And there are people that I've trained that are making $25,000, $30,000 a month right now. And I said, great, man. I'm happy that you were able. And it's always the person taking notes.
Yeah.
They're like, and one group thought the girl was like, why is she taking notes? I mean, that's so stupid. Today, she's their boss. And I'm like, you should have maybe taken some notes out of me. Because anyway, but that's my gift.
But they're there to work. They're there to perform. If you have bits of information that I think I can use, I want it. I want it in my brain. So
I mean, I don't understand. I mean, training, first of all, it's the same organization. They have I'm their own trainer. Most dealerships don't have an in-house trainer like we do, right? And I tell them, take advantage of it. I'm a world of knowledge. When it comes to sales, I'm not looking up a computer. I can answer a question right there in front of you. I tell people, take advantage of it, because there's so many dealerships that have no trainers, or they come once every 6 months.
I bet having an in-house trainer has paid dividends for Sames. Just big time.
I'll show you pictures. I have crowded rooms where people are trying to get in thinking I need to get in. I want to hear and people say sometimes what they get out of me is the energy. They're like, man, I can't buy this. I can feel it.
Yeah.
They get out of their chair saying, I want to sell a car. And I'm excited about it. I learned something today.
Where's my next up?
And they're excited. I mean, I have people that I walk in a dealership, people yelling my name, Ronnie, I'm getting in your class. And I'm thinking to myself,
How
wow.
fun.
I said, hey man, let's get to it, right? And then I make it fun too, right? But I make it real.
Yeah.
And people love it.
Yeah.
They're like, I just wish some people, I had one guy, 30 years in the car business. And I told him how to present a pencil. And you know, he told me he didn't even know English, but he understood me, which is amazing. He was talking to the girl. He says, in 30 years, no one ever told me the process of how to present a pencil. He said, I am so glad I came to work today. Something told me I needed to be here. And I said, I'm glad I taught you something. 30 years.
Man.
He said, if I would have known this 30 years ago, I would have been a better salesman. He said, when are you coming back, Ryan? I said, when God wants me to be here.
Yeah.
I'm on God's time. But anyway, so it's just amazing. I have the most rewarding job on the planet.
Yeah.
I love when people want to be
Well,
my
you
training.
can see it with your enthusiasm about training. It's awesome.
I love it.
I know. It's great to see. I mean, you don't want a sales trainer that doesn't want to be there.
Oh no. Or
Not
just
at
checking the
all.
boxes.
Yeah, just doing
I
my
talked to
job.
Tommy Bonner today. No, I'm like,
no.
people are amazed. As much energy I have, and I do, my wife would tell you, I used to drive 4.5 hours just to meet with one guy.
Yeah.
And they would say, Ronnie, I heard you do big events. I said, yeah, but I might give it all I got with just one guy because it means that much to me. It doesn't matter if I talk to one guy or 20 or 30. I'm going to give it all I got. It's almost like they're just, and you can see their face, like they feel like they're at a show or something like, and they're just like, I can't believe you came over here for me. I did. I may not know your name. Yeah. I may not know who you are or your story, but guess what? We're in an intersection. We're here now. I'm here. And I promise you, you know, they call me Ronnie the Bull because I'm bullheaded. If I'm coming, I'm breaking doors. I promise you.
Well,
I don't play games. I'm coming to give it all I got.
I tell the staff, I say, guys, y'all got my undivided attention and I'm here. Yeah. I'm here.
I hide the breakables. The Bulls here, and I ain't playing games. I'm for real about what I believe in.
Yeah.
And I know I can help people. Imagine, Tommy, you had all the tools. I'm a very unique person because in early 2000, I was selling cars, and then all of a sudden we hit COVID.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in COVID. I didn't sell cars. I was just a trainer. And I'll be honest, man, there was a time, and I told you the other day that there was a time COVID, salespeople really didn't need a trainer. People are making money and customers are just buying whatever.
It was the worst experience to go buy a car at that time.
I know. And I got to a point, I told my wife, I don't know if I'm relevant anymore. She says, why? She said, because it's gotten to a point where salespeople, in fact, all those salespeople, they had a shock. Anyway, I said, I don't know if I'm important because sales process isn't even important. Cars weren't even here. You ordered it. You paid it MSRP. Everybody was happy and people were making money. And then I said, but then everything went back to the way it was.
And those personalities during COVID did not clash well with what was going on. Just take it or leave it, bro. Take it or leave it, bro.
If you don't buy it, the next person will. And they did.
I know.
But you know what? When it came to reality, the only people that survived were the people that were before that said, I know what this looks like.
Yeah.
I've been here.
Yeah.
I know what I'm going to expect. I mean, that's the reality.
Oh, it was not a fun time.
A lot of those people aren't in the car business no more.
Of course not, because they didn't learn
They were selling
any
5
process.
cars, making $8,000. I was like, are you kidding me? And they're like, sure, it's easy. I don't need training. I know. And then guess what? When the reality came in, none of them survived. Only the old guys that said, I know, I've been here.
Well, we saw that in a lot of the markets, the real estate people, the ones where COVID, the home improvement guys, the contractors on the outside of houses at that time, the pool builders, they all thought they were, God's gift to whatever trade they were in.
So the faucet turned off and then they realized, wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm not that good. I skipped a few steps. Yeah, we saw
I'm having to retrain those people.
Well, if they haven't learned by now, Ronnie, they probably need to get off the bus.
I remember one guy, I went to one dealership. They're like, we know process. I said, great, tell me the steps. And they're like, we don't know them exactly. Let's go to 101. I have this, when I do a presentation, it's called the launch pad. I said, we're about to launch you to reality. This is how it's going to be. And I love it, man. I mean, one day I've got to invite you, Tommy. I'd love to have you, but
I'll go do
like, I mean, people are like, I'm all over the room.
Yeah.
I mean, people are just like, where's this guy going and what's he doing? And I know how to paint a picture so people can see it. I'm truly passionate.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I know
you
I said
can
that.
tell.
I'm a lot though,
but it's good. I know Ronnie gets out of the car and he's already fired up. You're like, hey, we just got here, buddy. That's all right. Let's go.
Let's go. I'm ready to go.
Let's go.
I've always watched you, Tommy. I've told you 1,000 times that your life story and all the things you've done, and I feel like you're the one that people in my lifetime that anything you touch for whatever reason turns well, right? And you just have that demeanor. But I would tell you this. It's because of who you are. You're a nice guy. I mean, at the end of the day, Tommy, we may not even talk all the time, but when I talk to you, it's almost like I just left off right where I remember where we were. And we weren't very close. I mean, I know you by somebody else, but you would never know it because how we talk to each other, you know.
Well, I try, man. And I just, when we hit obstacles, we just keep going. And I have no quit in me.
I know.
So if I set up a goal, whether it's small or big, until that thing is accomplished, I'm not done. And I feel like that started when I was a kid. If I wanted a BMX bicycle, there's only one way to get it. If I wanted a nice stereo system, there's only one way to get it.
That's right.
And I set some lofty goals. I mean, building Miguel's restaurant in Lubbock, Texas it's a 16,000 square foot building. We bought it and it was tear it completely down and rebuild it.
Wild.
And it was a lot, but we just didn't quit. We just show up every day. We keep doing what we say. We keep working until it's done and it's complete.
That place, I've never been there. I've only seen pictures, but one of my favorite parts is that truck you built.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
She's bad.
But Tommy, I think about the things you did. I mean, you're all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, where does this guy find these places? I mean, like, I don't know, the coffee shop in Paint Rock or wherever it's at, which I passed by, but I'm like,
you're supposed to stop there
and take a picture.
No, you got to buy something.
I still need to, I want to go to Lubbock. I want to go to your restaurant. I would love to go there and, man, I'd love to speak to your people. I'd love to, hey, man, they don't know Tommy, you are just a blessed man. I mean that. I know life hasn't been perfect.
No.
I know you've been through some struggles.
Yeah.
But man, Tommy, you have the best demeanor. I'm telling you. That's why everybody comes over here and speaks to you, because you have a good personality.
Well, I just tell them I'm a lawn guy because that's all I am.
I know.
I'm just a lawn dude.
You killed it in New Braunfels, boy. You were
We did.
Mile High. What was it called? Mile
High Yard Works.
Boy, if you don't know
we did. But I'm just a lawn dude. I don't have an attitude about me. I don't have.
Yeah, but you were well-rounded.
dude.
You know how to work the Bobcat. You know how to whale. I mean, you're one of those people. Like, you're not the average guy. I mean, you have a great vision. You see things people don't.
Yeah.
I would have never seen that table or the way you built this thing. I would have never seen that. That's a gift. And so, but you're fair with people. You're not easy to sell a car to. But other than that, you're a good person. I mean, you told me, boy, you were hard on me.
I call Shane or
somebody,
Gabe. I say, hey, I'm looking for this. Let me know when y'all find it.
But I'm telling you right now, they ain't making no money off of Tommy Bonner, boy. He'll run you to the ground. I'm okay with that.
They'll make it.
Tommy, you good people.
Well, I got 2 other questions for you, and then we're going to wrap this up. If you're hungry, and my son's outside being quiet like I told him to be, what time is it? He's not going to be there yet. Nah, I got to go get him in a while. But what does success look like to Ronny Tejeda these days?
You know what? Let me tell you, success looks a couple of things. One is, I am big on church, right? That is really, people ask me all the time, Ronny, why are you successful? Well, first of all, I am dedicated and committed to church. And I know that sounds, people just probably don't want to hear that sometimes, but that is my reality. 2 is, I focus on what makes me happy, right? I walked away from a lot of money at times because people wanted to hire me, and I told them that I was not title driven, I'm purpose driven. So I found a career I really want to do. I find peace in it. I would drive.
I think it fits you great.
Oh, yeah, I mean, and third is, I only invest in people that have the same mindset, right? I'm not saying I don't love people. There's some people, I have some cousins or whoever, right, that I just don't hang out with, but I really value time. And what I mean by that is, if I make time, it's a lot, right? Time is the best gift you can give anybody, right? So I really focus on that, and I just find peace, right? I mean, I live very simple, right? And people always say, all right, you must live in a big home. I don't. I live in a small home. I'm okay with that.
You got a tractor, though.
Yeah, and about 400 acres out in Floresville, and I enjoy it, and I hunt, and I do all the things. I ride a horse quite a bit. I think that's, my grandfather lived in 1900s, and he would always say that the horses were the backbone of the world. And I didn't understand that. Of course, he lived at a different time, but now that I'm on a horse, I go through the wilderness, and I'm like, man, my grandfather lived life, boys. Everything stops. I do my best thing. Anyway, I focus really on peace and joy. That's it. I don't tolerate negativity.
Yeah.
I know there's times I have to hear people, but at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, I'm going to focus on all the good things that are happening in life. I mean, I'm here for a short time.
Yeah. Well, and what would Ronny Tejeda at your age now tell 20-year-old Ronny Tejeda? What advice would you give
Man,
him?
I would tell them, get to the church as fast as you can. Because if I would have known what I know now, I would have been like, hey, man, at 21 years old, I didn't even understand things.
Yeah.
My poor mother, who sent me to private school from kinder to eighth, and I still didn't even know anything about the Bible at the end. I was like, I don't know what's going on. But I just wish I would have gotten to church quicker. I would have found, I think I would have dealt with enough. I think I would have dealt with stress better, life struggles, because that's really what balances me. People always tell me, hey, Ryan, you're in church, but you went to divorce. Yeah, but I survived. They're like, hey, Ryan, you're in church, but you lost everything in your custody battle. Yeah, but I'm still in a nice home. I'm still here. I still have a good mind.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still doing things. I speak at the Bear County Jail sometimes. You know why I do that? I do it for free, by the way. People say, why do you do that, Ryan? Why would you go over there? That's a part of society nobody wants to deal with. I said, because because when I get up there and I speak to all these guys, I think to myself, me or my friends could have all been in here.
Yeah.
I would have wanted somebody real. I tell people, hey, I'm not politically correct. I'm Jesus correct, but I'm going to go up there and I give it all I got because that's who I am. I love everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, can you imagine people like, right, they pay me a lot of money to speak now, but there's times I do it for free.
Yeah.
Because God's been so good to me. Like at the end of the day, I mean, come on. Look, I come from a single parent family. I'm not the most educated. I have like 30 hours of college. And I got a charge on me that, thank God, it got dismissed in 1995. I was doomed to go somewhere I wasn't supposed to go. And guess what? I make more money than most people. I have a good mind. And I'm blessed. I have a good family. My kids are healthy. I mean, what else do you want?
I know.
I mean, what else do you want?
There's a lot to be
I'm working on this
thankful
one
for.
thing. And it says that even if God never touches me again, I can never repay him for all he's done already. Like, even if God never blesses me anymore, Tommy, and there's I can still never repay him for all he's done up until this point. I couldn't even repay him.
That's the truth.
That is real talk. And I don't do things for, I don't do things just to do it. No, I believe it. That's who I am. Even when I give money to church, I mean, people give me a hard time. Hey, right, you're tithing. Yeah, I believe in it. I said, because God's blessed me so much that even if he doesn't bless me, I still can't repay him for what he's done. Can you imagine that? We have good minds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a lot to be thankful for. Well, let's wrap it up, man. I appreciate you coming here. It's been that's an hour and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
This is
who's ever listening this far, I apologize. Hope you enjoyed it.
They fast forward.
I know they said, let's just into this guy.
Nah, I think they'll have a good time. It's fun. It's wild that an hour and a half in here, you're just kind of in this zone.
I know.
I like the blue color, and it just kind of makes you relax.
You did it right here.
Thanks, man.
I may take you up on doing one small podcast.
No, you can anytime you want.
I have so many people that told me,
Bring
Ronny,
them in.
do a podcast. You know everybody in this town. I do. Bring them all in. I want to bring people that would never be on a podcast because people overlook them. They think, oh, he's not doing well. He's not rich. I'm going to know. Guess what?
Bring
I'm going to bring
in.
you because I want good people. There's so many good people.
We'll get rid of our girl right here. We'll change the color to white, red, whatever.
Tommy,
Bring
don't
them
say
in here.
I would, because I have a lot of people that would come
from
all over the Texas would say, I'll drive to you, Ryan.
Well, we
Let's
need
do
to
it.
put it. Now we need to put this thing to use. It's no big deal.
I mean, people will be blown away.
Bring them in.
There's so many good people. There's other Tommy Bonners in the world, right?
We want to meet them.
Yeah, you're like, man, I didn't know that. My wife just driving. I said, I have no normal friends. There are just over the top people.
Yeah.
And they're like, because of their personality. Something I bring, you'd be like, wow, Ronnie, you know these cats? I'm like, yeah. And they're the type of friends. I have friends. Not everybody does, but I have friends that will stand in the rain for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm the type of friend, I stand in the rain for you.
Yeah.
That's who I am. Those are the people. They may not have a lot.
That's all right.
But the little they have, they'll give it all they got.
That's what I like
those
about
are the people
this.
I love.
You say you like people, and I want to hear everybody's story.
You would be, and everybody has one.
Yes.
Everybody has a story.
That's why I like doing this, is to hear everybody's story. And it's tied to business, but it doesn't have to be. You could bring whoever you want in here and get their story out and share it. And this might not, this recording might not go to a gazillion people, but if it hits one right person,
I hope somebody comments.
Gets to listen to this story in 10 years, in 20 years. I had a grandfather in here. He's not going to be around here much longer. And I sat here and listened to his whole life story.
Can you imagine?
You know how important that video is going to be to his family?
Priceless.
You can't put a price on
I hope somebody did get something. I hope someone says, hey, Tommy, I was listening and I got something. There's times that people will talk. I did this at AT&T and I talked about something totally different. My wife was there and the lady came up and she made a comment and it had nothing to do with what I said.
Yeah.
I told my wife, who is she listening to? Because I didn't even bring that up. Because sometimes we will say something, but people will get a different perspective and they get a different message. And that's the power of speaking to people.
Somebody's going to call your ass and
come on, let's go. I'm ready to go. Let's go. I don't play games. I'm ready to help people.
Yeah.
If they're genuine and they really want me to help them, call me. I'll get out there. I'll help you. I'll give it all I got.
They're gonna.
I may not know a lot, but the little I know a lot of. That I promise you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, well, let's wrap it up and get out of here, man. I appreciate you coming in here. And tell us again where they can find you at.
My name's Ronny, Ronny. My last name is Tejeda, Tejeda. Find me on Facebook. My phone number, if you want to call me, 210-317-9912. I was hesitant about giving my number, but everybody's got it. I mean, I look at anything. You can Google me. I'm a national trainer. I've been recognized, and I'm just trying to help as many people. I'm a normal person that knows a little bit, and if you need help or you need something, I'll give you the best advice I can.
Passionate about
I love
training,
people. Man, let me tell you, people. My wife says, "How do you do it?" I said, "I just get up there." Yeah. I said, "God, here I go." And there's sometimes she's like, "It's a big crowd." I said, "I'm okay. The bigger, the better." And I just get up there. I do get nervous because I'm normal.
I speak in front of my restaurant group, but I do it like it's nothing. I'm deathly afraid of being on a stage, speaking in front of people. I told Coach Bert, one of my business coaches, I'm like, throw me on a stage. If you want to make me uncomfortable, do this for me or put me in that spot because it's something that I want to overcome.
My wife says like a switch turns on. I'm like, as soon as I get that mic, it's like, all right, I'm going to get to it. Now I have some ideas, but I just get to this place. People told me, you're a natural born speaker. I don't know if I am. I don't use big words. I don't have to.
Yeah.
I'm simple.
I don't know big words.
I don't know big words. I mean, like, come on, let's go. It don't matter because what I'm going to tell you is going to hit. That's all that matters.
I get the word of the day to my email, and it's a big fancy word. And I love reading it and studying it, but I never get to use it because I forget it right away. But I like to learn it as part of the English language. So.
I'm telling you.
All right, well, let's get out of here. Ronny the Bull Tejeda.
Let's go.
Enjoyed it. And thanks for listening to Business Under Fire.
Let's go.
Thanks for watching Business Under Fire. We'd love it if you would share, like, and subscribe. See you next time.